Hey friends, Josh here, founder of HR University, and in this video we'll discuss the role of people operations in your organization. But before we continue, make sure to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to our channel so you can get all the helpful HR tips that we produce at HR University. Now, people operations, also known as people ops, is the management of labor within an organization. It is a business function that falls under the HR umbrella, focusing on employee development, engagement, and retention. It's important because unsatisfied employees can find another job on a whim, whether it be through LinkedIn or another platform. Therefore, competition is tight, and businesses that offer better working conditions and better benefits will almost always win in this race. In fact, a staggering statistic shows that 80% of employees would choose a better incentive program over a pay raise, which means it's important to understand what your employees want. As an employer, you must constantly update the work culture to better fit your workers through having better benefits and better engagement tactics. Your people operations team must focus on implementing these ways to engage employees to convince them that there's no better place that they could work at. Businesses can do this through things like team building exercises, increased benefits during holidays, student loan benefits, maternity leave benefits, and additional paid sick days. The story of how people operations came to be starts back in the early 2000s when Laszlo Bock, head of HR at Google, noticed many women resigning from their posts. What struck Laszlo as even stranger was that primarily it was working mothers who were leaving. Of course, as the head of HR, it was his job to investigate the cause of this resignation. After many surveys and interviews, the company managed to get to the bottom of it and realized that job benefits did not extend to these women, and their workplace essentially wasn't meeting their needs. So Laszlo decided to take matters into his own hands, and he implemented a code of conduct and introduced additional employee benefits targeted explicitly to working moms. From that point on, new moms could take a full paid 5-month leave. And this is something that was unheard of in the early 2000s. And at that moment, Laszlo realized that it wasn't just the role of HR that was necessary for setting and maintaining a steady workflow. The company had to work on understanding the needs of its employees, and that would happen through people operations. And now that we have a good background of how people operations came to be, let's look at the different roles in the people operations department. Major corporations have faced lawsuits due to inefficient employer-to-employee communication. And if you're still in the early stages of your business, don't overlook the importance of having at least one employee dedicated to people operations and onboarding new hires, especially if you plan to scale quickly and soon. Larger businesses may form an entirely new team from their existing HR department. Let's see what we have in our list for roles and primary responsibilities within the people operations department. A people operations manager is there to keep a close eye on the entire team. As professionals, they need to make sure the team works and collaborates effectively and produces stellar work. Think of it like being an HR project manager. Next, operation coordinators are typically responsible for administrative tasks, organization, and project management. Coordinators deal with day-to-day tasks and ensure everything is running smoothly. Then a director of people ops, on the other hand, has one top priority, that is to manage the entire people's department. Here, the company director is a leader, and as such, they must coach the department for the highest level of efficiency. This team usually works closely with different business leaders in order to develop an enduring strategy across the whole department. As for a people ops specialist, they take care of back-end duties. They usually perform data checks and make sure every HR's inputs are updated, and they also promptly respond to employees. The specialist is also most often involved in the onboarding process, collaborating with the recruitment staff as well. A specialist works much like your customer service staff. Their communication skills must be flawless to communicate well with new hires and accommodate them throughout the hiring process. To get a better understanding of people operations, we're going to go through some of the top key priorities that the people operations department has. And we'll go through particularly the 8 most important ones. First is employee development, where you need the company goals connected with the employee performance. Next is mapping the employee journey and life cycle. You never forget to keep your employee motivated by recognizing their efforts, and you also want to maintain continuous engagement with your employees. Make sure you work for the development of your employee, and always try to gain trust of your employees by giving them a flexible and workable environment. And make sure to manage any change effectively. And last but not least, try to create a culture that helps employees feel more secure and productive. Let's go ahead through each one of these in more detail. The first is employee learning and development. This can include skill development, pathing employee careers, leadership development, and helping employees to set individual role-based goals through KPIs. When you do this, your employee will feel more confident and valued. As a result, it'll help your organization succeed. And trained employees are more motivated, productive, and consistent in their performance at work. For this purpose, employees' concerns must also be taken into account by asking them what skills they require for their job, what training can help them excel in their job, or any kind of support that they need. People operations must be able to identify the moments that matter. And with this, I mean that an increased amount of attention must be given by HR practitioners to understand the employee life cycle and the employee journey. And the employee journey is a time an employee spends at the company, starting right from their first application to the company, followed by their first day at the company till the time they quit the job. And the people ops team is responsible for mapping critical employee moments in this journey. They continuously monitor and improve them to boost the employee experience and to better engage employees. According to research, 83% of HR leaders believe that employee experience is essential for an organization's overall success. And one of the major reasons employees feel demotivated is that they don't get recognized for the work that they do. Organizations that focus on employee recognition have less employee turnover rate. People operations must create and implement a reward and recognition system. This will make employees feel motivated and appreciated for the efforts they put collectively into growing the organization. And this can be as simple as an informal email thank you or a specific employee reward system. If employees keep on leaving your organization at a higher rate, it then becomes difficult for such organizations to grow and succeed. So it's important to be in touch with your employees and understand how they're feeling. You want to keep your employees happy and healthy at all times, and this should be a key priority for people operations. This strategy can result in, of course, improved profit, organizational growth, stability, and boost productivity as a whole. An organization can't succeed when their employees play their role as they are supposed to. People operations are responsible for helping employees in understanding their core role within the organization. In addition, they also evaluate employee contributions to the company's goals. The primary goal must be to make employees feel their workplace as a second home by encouraging engagements. This not only fulfills organizational commitment, but also makes employees work harder. At this point, I'd also like to mention the main responsibility of people operations. And that is they should be involved in planning the execution of company goals, discuss how achievable they are, and set the priorities for work. Employees' trust can be gained in several ways. People operations must be transparent with employees. This includes open access to the company culture, salaries, and benefits that they get. And this transparency is highly recommended, especially at the earlier days of the employee life cycle. This trust factor can only be compromised due to the lack of communication. So it's a responsibility of people ops to build and maintain this trust with constant communications with employees. This communication should be regular and clear. Change across business must also be managed. People ops can perform system updates, switching of employees from one team to another, and create changes based on some internal requirements. This is necessary when transformations are needed to achieve an ideal future state. These changes or adjustments must be performed in a way that does not affect the business goals. Culture development plays an important role as well for people to keep track of. Ethical and moral values must be brought into consideration. Creating a better work culture can help with every aspect of the company, from employee retention to productivity. Finally, what's the difference between people operations and human resources? When someone tells you to hire a people ops specialist, you might ask, but why? I already have an HR representative who does the heavy lifting in this office. And that's maybe somewhat true. Yes, people ops and human resources are almost identical. With that said, people operations often focuses more on people data and change management, which is the core of every business. And that's why many of the world's most successful companies have replaced traditional HR departments with people operation teams. With this, they've made a clear distinction between HR and people operations. Now that we've touched on people operations as a critical department in your company, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below this video if you have any questions or anything else that you want answered. And of course, if you found this video useful, make sure to go ahead and like the video and subscribe to our channel so you can get all the great content that we produce at HR University to help you become the best HR professional. And I'll see you in some of our following videos. Cheers.